Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is a podcast where we discuss our real life experiences about living here in Canada. And yes, we've decorated a little bit. We changed up the decor. I'm wearing my Halloween outfit. It's Halloween weekend and we wanted to change it up a little bit. So this episode is entitled Our Canadian Upgrade. What's better up here?
Question number one. Do you feel safer in Canada?
Yes, I do. I do feel safer here in Canada. Believe it or not, Canada does have crime. There is crime being reported on the news and in the various cities and towns, but it's not like Trinidad. It's a bit different. The crime rates here are way lower, and the types of crime vary from that of Trinidad. So in Trinidad, unfortunately, we were victims of crime, and we do have that mindset that we need to look over our shoulders at all times, always be aware of our surroundings, and we don't want to be victims of crime anymore. So that's one of the things that is different here. We don't experience that, and there's no one really around you, or you feel like uncomfortable in certain situations. The crimes in Trinidad, I believe, is more gang related and more petty theft and small robberies and stuff. The murder rate is very high. But here there are murders, but I believe it's more isolated and it may be more gang related, and it happens in different cities or even different towns that may be exposed to these higher crime rates. Here there aren't really walls separating houses or fences. Everything is fairly open and there isn't a lot of barriers between houses. Your cars are generally parked outside. I know when we just moved here, I was thinking about I'm going to park my car outside. It's not under a covered garage. I'm looking outside during the wee hours of the night looking to see if anyone is looking at my car. I get up in the morning and I'm looking to see if my car is still there. You don't really have that to worry about. Obviously, crime is different in certain areas, but the area that we're in is relatively safe. So that's something that is way different from Trinidad.
Leaving an environment in Trinidad where there's high crime rate to come to an environment now in Canada where it is, I want to say, relatively low crime rate, definitely is a change in the way in which we go about our day-to-day life. For me personally, I would find I would spend less time now worrying about looking over my shoulder, and even simple things as going outside. You could go for a walk anytime in the day, even in the night, and you find that you don't have that sense of uneasiness when you're walking outside alone. I find that even like when I'm coming home, from work and I'm parking my car in our driveway, I don't need to like run inside my house and lock the door. Like there's just a total sense of ease. I think when you move to Canada, you feel a little bit more at peace because you don't have to worry about those things that the average person may have to worry about in Trinidad.
Okay, so now on to question number 2. What free services are available here in Canada?
There are many free services available to residents and citizens of Canada. One of the major services is that of the universal health care, and depending on the province that you live in, you may be eligible to be part of the provincial healthcare program. So for us in Ontario, we are part of the Ontario healthcare program, or what we call OHIP. So we get universal healthcare, so free doctor's visits, free stays in the hospital. Even if it is you're pregnant, giving birth in a Canadian hospital is free. So those are just some of the benefits that you get here as opposed to Trinidad. As a newcomer to Canada, there are a lot of settlement services available. So there are agencies that are set up that provide free services to new immigrants to find jobs, housing, and even additional services that might usually incur fees, such as lawyers.
Yeah, so there are several government programs that are available to permanent residents and citizens. I myself have been enrolled into one of them because I'm currently learning French, and it's free of charge to PRs and citizens. You just go to the government's website, depending on the province that you're located in, and then you sign up and then you await your classes, and it's absolutely free. These are services that are available because the government wants you to be onboarded and be incorporated into the Canadian system as soon as possible.
One of the other benefits of living in Canada is being exposed to the various government programs. For example, there are refugees who come to Canada and the government does provide aid in finding them housing. There are also other services such as the child tax credit. You get money back from the government for each child that you have, as well as there are lots of other services to help persons find housing and employment.
So there are several services available to Canadians. There are free libraries where you could go in, study, and borrow books. I use these services quite recently because I was studying a very important exam. You go in, you borrow books absolutely free of charge. You sign up, and you can go to multiple locations because all of these services are available in different cities and they are varying size and location. So that's something you can look up in your area what libraries are available. Go in and you can study for free. On another note, there's also recreational services that are available in different communities. You just go to your local community center, and it's very big compared to Trinidad. You go and you sign up, you play different sports, meet different groups, and you can even learn different sports if that's something that you're interested in. Knowing what's available and having dealt with it firsthand, I'm pretty sure that whatever sport you like and whatever sport you want to even learn, you could actually go to your community center and find out what services are available.
Moving on to the next question. How different is transportation here?
Transportation in Canada is very different compared to Trinidad. There isn't any PH cars that you could stop at the side of the road. It's way more organized than that, and it's timely. This comes with also to a disadvantage being it's more expensive because I took buses in Trinidad and I took buses here, and it's way different in terms of costs. But the thing is, it's more reliable and there's always a transit very close to you. So you can also look up the routes on Google Maps to find out exactly where you want to go and the times that it will take to get there. Also, too, in Canada, there's a lot of different modes of transportation. So there's buses, there's electric scooters at the corners of major intersections, there's Uber, there's subways, trains, there's even inter-province flights. So that's something you're interested in. The transportation system is more efficient compared to Trinidad, and it's something that you need to experience for yourself.
One of the major advantages Canada has is that of accessibility. Cities are designed with accessibility in mind. So whether it is ramps, it's elevators, it's wider sidewalks to accommodate different modes of transportation for different persons. So whether persons are in wheelchairs or whether you have young children or babies in strollers, it's more accommodating to different persons.
Yeah, driving here, the driving experience here is way different from Trinidad. I'll talk about the pros. The pros is that the roads are well maintained. You can see your taxpayers' money going into these roads and these services to maintain them. The roads are wider. There's up to 6 to even 8 lane highways. And you need to be very careful because there's a lot of cars. So that's the difference between here and Trinidad. Trinidad roads are very small compared to Canada. And as well as in Canada, even if you miss your route, there's always a connection to different roads or even turn-offs. So sometimes in Trinidad, I remember if I make a mistake and I take the wrong turn-off on the highway, I have to come around and take that flyover one more time. But here is that everything is connected. You could even, if you're scared and you don't want to drive here in Canada, you don't want to take the highways, you could even take these main roads, which are well maintained, very spacious, and they're interconnected. So you could even drive from here to Toronto without even using the highway. That's how different here is. And Canada is the second largest country in the entire world, and you can even drive from one end to the next end just by car.
On the topic of travel, one of the advantages is that Canada has more accessibility when it comes to travel. So for example, Canada has numerous major airports such as Toronto. And one of the advantages is if you're flying outside of the country, there are usually direct flights to that country, whether it is to the US, it's to Europe. Versus in Trinidad, I find there were a lot more limited options. And sometimes to get to your destination from Trinidad, you may have to take multiple connections or layovers.
Okay, moving on to question number 4. How has technology made our life easier in Canada?
The biggest advantage that Canada has is that it promotes more of a cashless lifestyle. Coming from Trinidad, where we would always have to have cash to pay for literally anything, moving to Canada, we quickly found that most businesses are cashless. So you could literally just tap your card, or even most days I see persons, you can even just register your credit cards to your phone and you literally just tap your phone. So you don't even need to take your physical credit cards out with you. Canada has what we call e-transfers. So instead of taking out cash from an ATM in Trinidad to give to a vendor, you can do what's called an e-transfer. So it's an electronic transfer of funds from your account to the vendor or the merchant's account.
In Canada, there's a lot of online government services that we frequently visit and use. You don't have to physically go in. I've had the pleasant experience of having to renew my driver's license recently. You could even renew it online without having to go in. Remember, Canada is huge and is densely populated with a lot of people, so having to go in physically to these services or even have to renew different things is very inconvenient. People work different times. Also, too, they work different hours. These government services are available at different hours. So when I was renewing my driver's license recently, the driver test center was open at 7:30 p.m. So right after I left work, I was able to go in, and it took 10 to 15 minutes. Yes, believe me or not, it took 10 to 15 minutes to renew my driver's license. It took about 2 weeks for me to get the hard copy in my mail. And that's something is very convenient. I remember having to go in Trinidad. I had to go in, line up 6:30 in the morning. I had to take a day off to do these different services. But here it's readily available. You can even renew your passport online. These are different things that are available here and makes life way easier as compared to Trinidad.
And speaking of ease of access, one of the major advantages is that there are less times you may physically need to go in a bank because online banking is more of a thing here. I think in the 5 years that we have lived here, we have probably set foot in a physical bank probably no more than 4 to 5 times. Whereas in Trinidad, you literally need to go in the bank for every little thing. It's very convenient here. It's very efficient. You could do literally everything online, pay your bills online, you pay taxes online. There's no such thing as paper copies anymore, and everything is digital. One of the other major positives about living in Canada is that you can literally have anything delivered right to your door. Whether it is groceries, it is furniture, your Amazon packages come delivered within 1 to 2 days. I've even had my prescriptions delivered directly to my door without leaving my house. And that ease of having your goods delivered directly to your door is saving time for you to leave your house, or if you have to leave work, maybe you might be ill and you're not able to, pick up groceries. You literally can place an order. Anything is delivered directly to your door.
I'll touch on ease of access. I had the unfortunate occurrence of going to the bank and there was a problem with the ATM. The ATM didn't actually dispense the cash that I wanted it to dispense. I basically went in the car park. I called the customer service and I said, hey, this happened to me. It took 5 minutes, and within 5 minutes, the money that I was supposed to withdraw was back into my account. I was blown away, because these are the things that you want as a customer, having good customer service, easy access to your money when it matters the most. Another point about banking that makes life much easier here. We are in Canada, and when we want to visit the US, you could actually go to the ATM and withdraw US cash right out of the ATM. You don't have to pay, you don't have to do a credit check or anything. You can just go to the ATM nearby and you can withdraw cash, US cash. Another thing is that when we traveled to Europe recently, we don't need to make an appointment to get euros. We just walked into the bank and we lined up as everyone does. It wasn't big, extensive lines. It was like maybe 2 persons in front of me. I went to the teller and I was like, hey, I need some euro. Yes, how much you need? And that was it. And within 10-15 minutes, I was able to get euro cash and I left. That's something that is way different from Trinidad. I think you have to go in a waiting line. I remember when we were moving to Canada, I had to put my name on a list to get 200 Canadian to come to Canada. It took like 2-3 months. That's something that's way different here. It ease access to different foreign currencies.
All right, for the last question, what's different about money in Canada?
Using money here in Canada is way different from using money in Trinidad. Everything here runs on credit score. Your credit score matters the most. It matters more than the amount of money in your bank account. You use credit to build history and build trust with these financial services. So if you don't have the money up front and you want to purchase, let's say, a new TV, a car, a couch, you just present yourself to the outlet or the retailer and you present your credit score, if like documents and stuff. And depending on your credit score, they will give you the TV, the couch, the car, and then you pay in installment plans. So that's the number one thing that we learned from moving here, is that credit score matters. So when we just landed, we didn't have credit history or even a credit score. So that's why a lot of businesses weren't willing to give us a car or even give us different services or your appliances up front. We had to pay for these things up front. So that's something that's different compared to then, compared to now. Now we have good credit scores so that we could get these things and pay in installment plans. It makes it better for us financially. So we don't have to have this financial burden of paying these large sums of money. We could pay in installment plans. So that's something is much better compared to Trinidad.
The financing options here as well in Canada, it's not just limited to tangible goods or services. It could be for anything. So let's say that you want to go to the spa and you want to treat yourself out and you purchase one of the packages, but you don't have all of that money up front. Depending on, again, the retailer, the provider, they will provide you with financing options. So you can find that once you have good credit score and credit history, you can finance anything here, literally. So you find that even though you may see Canadians with a lot of, I want to say, material things, it doesn't necessarily mean that they paid for all of that with cash. And it's because they have good credit history and good credit score, they were able to receive and get those services.
Trinidad is limited when it comes to financial services, banks, and these lending agencies. In Canada, there's a wide variety of banks and financial institutions that are available to different people. They also have newcomer packages, so that's something that we took the advantage of when we just moved here. We didn't have credit history. These newcomer packages actually allow you to build credit history. They give you credit cards without even checking anything. You get a lot more value for joining them because there's a lot more competition. When you join these financial services and you sign up for a credit card or even like different promos that they have, you get a lot of rewards. This is something that is absent from Trinidad. When you join Republic Bank or Royal Bank or even Scotiabank, the rewards that you get from spending money is way different here compared to Trinidad. They actually give you incentive. People have multiple credit cards because they reap rewards and they actually use the rewards in different ways. So sometimes we use different types of credit cards to pay for different types of things. For example, when we go to the groceries, we use a certain type of credit card because on that credit card, you get money back on groceries. When you go to the gas station, I have a certain type of credit card that I use just for gas because I get cash back on gas. Obviously, it goes without speaking that all of these things are cashless and it's ease of convenience and it's so efficient to use these financial services.
So Canada has a lot of advantages, definitely has a lot of positives, but that's because it is one of the developed countries, or what we refer to as one of the first world countries in the world. And it's because of the services, the ease of access to certain technology that has enabled life here to be a little bit smoother as an immigrant.
Well, that brings us to the end of this podcast episode. Thanks for watching and thanks for making it all the way through. This podcast is available on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And the full video of this podcast is available on YouTube. Be sure to check it out and be sure to follow our Instagram page dedicated to Trinis Abroad. So thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and it really, engages us with you and continue asking these questions and continue being curious about life here in Canada. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. Bye.